Hello, everyone. We have a special guest for this today's Exclusive. I guess for this episode, we have a millennial. Basically, we will feature some millennials. And this friend of mine, he was a schoolmate back in college, and he used to be a former employee, he worked for the Philippine Information Agency. He also became a journalist. He wrote for Rappler, Jerusalem Post, and other and he pursued journalism abroad. He's now in New York, basically. Just in case we're doing this, just in case you're interested to study abroad, to work abroad. And without further ado, let's welcome our guest, Mr. Caleb Galaraga.
Hi, Tommy. Thank you. Thank you for that introduction.
Anyway, I want to ask this question, especially people love the idea of going abroad. What made you decide? We've been schoolmates back in college, but what made you decide to pursue journalism abroad? Where did you go to, basically?
Yeah. So I attended the Columbia Journalism School. So it's the only graduate school of journalism in the Ivy League. And I've been wanting to attend that school since 2009. So I've always had that seed and desire to attend this prestigious institution. But I didn't know if it was possible. I don't know if I have the skills or the credentials and whatnot. And in 2017, I've lived in New York, Tommy, from 2006 to 2014. So I really somehow I do consider this place as some sort of home for me. So I live here basically most of my 20s. And when I was in the Philippines, I was there from 2014 to 2018. But obviously, I was born and raised in the Philippines. That's why we met in the LSU as college students. I felt that I should try pursuing further studies. I should try pursuing advanced education or an advanced degree. And I had three schools that I wanted to attend. And of course, the top of the list is the Columbia Journalism School. And I applied in 2017. I felt that it was the right time and I pursued it. And thankfully, they accepted me. I learned about it in March 15, I think, or March 16 in the morning, 2018. And now we're here. I've graduated from CJS in May 2019 and very, very grateful to have attended that school.
Okay. My next question is, why journalism? Of all the possible career, what made you decide or what really enticed you to just pursue it, journalism?
Procedure, yeah. Well, one is I've never had, so I was thinking that when I go into CJS, I would really improve my writing. So I've been a writer since 2009. That's really been my profession. And from 2009 up until 2017, with a few years in between when I did marketing, I was really doing writing and communications consultancy work. And I wanted to just get more formal academic training. So that's why I pursued CJS. And then I learned that, journalism is really an important form of public service. It's public service through writing and reporting and communications, really. And I do appreciate and value the call and the tradition of journalism, the profession of journalism, because, we're able to report stories of not only of human interest, but that's significant and important to how society is shaped. We keep the power to account. So, accountability, especially for us, in our faith communities, is an important concept. And journalism essentially holds the power to account. It checks them that, are they doing what they're supposed to do? And that's something that attracted me to this profession that I'm pursuing.
Okay. Um, because you pursued journalism, can you share more about what are your accomplishments so far? At least this can inspire people. What have you accomplished so far in terms of journalism?
Right. In terms of journalism, not yet a lot. I don't have a huge roster or a long roster of accomplishments, but I've been published. Well, for me, I consider it an accomplishment being able to graduate from CJS and meeting a lot of incredible minds and being equipped and trained by Pulitzer Prize winning professors and lecturers. and I've been published in the Times of Israel. So mainly the focus of my reporting has been on what's called anti-Semitism or hate against Jews. And that's something that's very, very important to me as a topic. And I've learned and I've met a lot of my sources in person, and I'm grateful just to be able to understand this particular arena, this particular beat. And I've been published in the Times of Israel, which is it's like a digital news outlet in Israel, and also the oldest newspaper in Israel, the Jerusalem Post. And I've also here in the States, I was published at the Algemeiner Journal, which is a Jewish publication that serves the American jury. And yes, so those are a few of my accomplishments, and I would consider it something, a credit that some people are right now have entrusted me to edit their books. So a major part of my time is spent on editing books, and I consider that an achievement.
Okay. So anyway, probably this is something we need to ask for millennials. So for the millennials to know, what are the challenges of being a journalist, or probably studying abroad, pursuing journalism in CJS? What are the challenges? Can you share a bit of the challenges?
Oh wow, a lot. I dealt with a lot of challenges when I was studying, Tommy. Number one, it's really managing time. So you really have to be faithful and a good steward of your time. You really need to know your priorities. And another thing for me was finances. So just to share, I messed up my financing. There was a particular loan that I was expecting that fell through. I tried to pursue other loan options, but it all fell through that I almost actually had to leave school. But thankfully, there was like a 3 week period, Tommy, where I had to raise a huge amount of money and a lot of people came through. So one general important advice for me is if you're planning to study abroad, make sure your finances are in order. Don't do what I did, which was, somehow of a risk because I was banking on someone's promise. And those are the two things. And challenges, of course, there will only be, New York City is like a home for me. So I have a huge support system here. I have people here who I consider family. I'm part of a great faith community here. I have my best friend here. So, but for someone who will be going on a new place in a new country, in a school, then there's that issue of loneliness that I've learned from some people they've experienced. And, there will also be probably a bit of a culture shock if an individual from the Philippines tries to study abroad, because it's different, especially if you haven't really traveled abroad or you're not familiar with other cultures, you haven't really you haven't worked in a multicultural, multinational setting. Then those are a few of the challenges that a person would face. And as a journalist, of course, the challenge there will always be, it's a very, very tough industry. I'm still trying to really get a staff job. And so right now I'm trying to freelance and whatnot. And probably discouragement, like people could be easily discouraged from pursuing this profession. But if this is something that you want, this is something that you've prayed about, this is something that you think is what you should do, then you should go for it.
Maybe we'll ask for final words for encouragement, especially for millennials pursuing a career. What's your advice, basically?
Yeah. There's this particular, they attribute it, now I couldn't remember to whom they attributed, to Henry Ford, someone. The line goes like this: whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way you're right. So that's the line. So whether you think you can or you think you can't or cannot, either way you're right. So whenever it comes to trying to pursue your profession, your dream, your ambition, it's really up to you. You have to decide, because like based on that particular action, that particular phrase that's been so famous, that quote that you can find, Google it, it's up to you. You have the ability to decide if your dreams will come true. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Focus is number one, just really fueling and nurturing your hope. And I wrote a book on the power of speaking life, and just declaring hope and possibility towards your future. And of course, the practical side there is really you have to work very, very hard. Nothing comes easy. You should never be entitled. Whatever learning opportunity comes your way, you must seize it. And if you have mentors around you, if you have individuals, for us, Tommy, we're familiar with like support groups in churches, then that's another way for us to really pursue our goals. It's like we have people who are encouraging us, motivating us, telling us that we can do it. So yeah, I think that would be my advice. Number one, believe in yourself. Number two, just do it. And number three, look for people who will cheer you on.
Okay. Anyway, thank you, Caleb, for really taking time. I hope this helps to those listeners who are pursuing career and maybe going abroad in this new normal. Thank you. That's our exclusive interview for today. God bless everyone.
Thanks for having me, Tommy. Thank you.